Tariff winners and losers. And we're going to talk a lot about tariffs and a bit more about tariffs. And it seems like that's the only thing happening in the world of wine news are tariffs. So we'll talk a little bit about tariffs. And hey, we tasted Wine Spectator's Wine of the Year, and it's good. It's very good. We'll talk about that as well. And our restaurant of the week, and so much more. We have all that coming up on this episode of This Week Uncorked. Well, hello, and welcome to episode 39 of This Week Uncorked for Monday, April 14th, 2024. I'm Brett Martin from Cork and Journey, your number one source for corkage fees, wine reviews, restaurant reviews, interviews with winemakers, so much more. With that, let's get right on into this week's news. Well, hopefully you don't find this episode a little taxing. Anyway, man, oh man, tariffs have blown up. It's everywhere. Donald Trump did put a 90-day pause on certain countries, but not other countries. Most of these articles were written before that pause went into effect. I'm not sure where it all falls at the end of the day, but let's kind of get right into it. So Wine Searcher has tariff winners and losers in wine and spirits. This is W. Blake Gray. He writes for Wine Searcher. He writes for Wine Business. He is the kind of, I love this guy because his articles are deep and in-depth. And this is kind of a full breakdown of here are the winners, here are the losers in the wine and spirits tariff wars that are ongoing. And from the article, he says, my personal reaction to Trump's announcement was to turn to my wife and say, let's go to Japantown and buy some sake. I'm sure I'm not alone in this. Stock market futures plummeted. It's possible that tomorrow will be one of the busiest shopping days in U.S. history. This was written about 4 or 5 days ago. Anyway, and then towards the very end of the article, as he's going through his winners and losers, he sums it up. Winner, people who like beer more than wine and cocktails. Wine has a difficult time competing with spirits, but the price is just about every cocktail ingredient just went up. Vermouth, many liqueurs, even many bitters and fancy cocktail cherries. U.S. wine producers may be able to better compete with EU producers at the low end because of this, but they will also have to raise prices because of higher prices for equipment, including barrels and glass bottles. It's a good time to drink beer in U.S.-made cans. And the loser, the world economy, ? But the biggest loser is the U.S. consumer. Fewer wines that cost more. Thanks a lot. I'd write more, but my wife says, let's go to the Japanese supermarket right now and pick up that sake. This is literally affecting everyone. I was on Reddit on the r/wine feed the other day. There was a winemaker on there. Just got his producer said, hey, haven't taken shipment of your French oak barrels yet. Sorry, we're going to have to increase the price 20% on those. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it does make sense at the end of the day. So there you go. Kind of a rundown there. And then the drink business has winemaking nations being the hardest hit by Trump tariffs. So they're kind of breaking it down like which nations are going to get hit hard. And this is Eloise Felden. She's also taken a rundown of kind of all these various countries and which potentially will take the biggest hit. So from the article, EU economies will be worst hit by the tariff on wine as all of these nations face a 20% hike. I don't know if that's now lowered to 10. It seems to be a fluid situation on a daily basis, but we'll go with this. U.S. comprises almost 20% of the EU's total wine export, accounting for a total of $14.1 billion of exported beverages, spirit, and vinegar products from the EU in 2024, according to the International Trade Center. Italy's economy will suffer the most from levies on wine, responsible for both the highest volume and value exports to the U.S., with France in second place. But from a producer perspective, South Africa is by far the worst hit. The country faces a 31% tariff. That's 11% higher than any of the other top 10 countries. That's probably because it's part of BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, China, South Africa, India. So maybe that's why those tariffs are higher. Who knows? We'll see how this all shakes out at the end of the day. But there you go. And I got one more story on this, but before I get to it, let's give a quick shout out to the guys over at SOMM TV. This is your one place stop shop for all videos relating to everything wine, interviews, movies, varietal explanations, blind tastings, how-tos, education, you name it, it's there. And if you use the link below, you'll get 50% off your monthly subscription. And for a whopping $3.49 a month, you too can be enjoying SOMM TV. Shout out to the team over there and check it out. And then continuing on with the tariff news. So wineinstitute.org put out a press release responding to the administration's latest trade action and the ongoing ban with Canada. Now, this one is interesting because Canada took massive retaliatory action against U.S. spirits, wine, everything. They banned it. Nothing no U.S. alcohol products are being sold in Canada right now. They've either been taken off the shelves, put into storage, or I've seen pictures where the entire section is just covered in thick, heavy tarps and locked down in stores. And this has been going on now for about a month. And they're probably the biggest losers in this is the U.S. wine makers, especially California, Oregon, and Washington. From the article, wineries across the country continue to suffer economic harm from Canada's total ban on U.S. wine sales. Since early March, wine, beer, and spirits have been the only U.S. products completely barred from entering and being sold in the Canadian market. Prior to these actions, Canada accounted for 35% of all U.S. wine exports with a retail value of more than $1.1 billion. Do the math on that. Basically, U.S. wineries are losing about $100 million a month in lost sales up in Canada. And will it even recover? Okay, you can buy U.S. stuff again. I mean, unless we stop saying we want them to be a state, I don't know. The animosity seems to be running high. And I wish I could end the news on a happy note. But there is a great article over on Reason about new prohibitionists are hijacking the federal dietary guidelines. So this all has to do with, does alcohol cause cancer? What levels of alcohol cancer? What does it do with overall mortality rates? All those kind of things. We've discussed it on previous shows. Last week, we were talking about how Catena is not shipping anything over to Ireland because Ireland's requiring cancer warning labels on the back. There are conflicting studies on this. It's just all over the map. So this is a deep, deep dive article, which pretty much covers who's doing what, how this movement started, what the data is, which data is inaccurate, which data is conflicting, kind of steps you through the entire overall process. With all of the reading I've done on this, what it seems to come down to is this. It seems that alcohol does slightly increase the risk of breast cancer in women. But take that out of the picture, it seems that moderate consumption of alcohol, 2 drinks or less a day, as defined by the study that was done, actually increases your lifespan as opposed to someone who doesn't drink at all. Slight increase in overall mortality, lack of mortality, whatever it is. So crazy. But anyway, this article is well worth the read. I want to read this one part from the article. It says the campaign to make America dry is as dubious as the campaign for the food pyramid. Which is, boy, if you talk about the food, carbs, eat a lot of carbs, eat like 50 pounds of carbs a day. That was just to support our farmers. Anyway, there's a whole breakdown on how the food pyramid was a disaster. But anyway, the same is true for recent headline grabbing reports from the former Surgeon General that linked alcohol consumption with higher cancer risk. Murthy has called for more warning labels on alcohol to help consumers know that even a single drink can increase your risk of getting cancer. But that's not what his own data seem to show. Of the more than 740,000 cases of cancer worldwide in 2020 that Murthy says could have been prevented by abstaining from alcohol, more than 75% were attributable to people who had more than 2 drinks per day. Murphy's findings then simply restate what we already know. Routinely drinking a lot of alcohol is dangerous to one's health. Drinking less than that, unsurprisingly, is not as bad. I think I'm done with these articles. I'm done with tariff articles. I'm done with health articles. We'll just focus on happier things going forward. Speaking of happier things, let's talk about our wines and winery of the week. Alrighty, we're going to head out to St. Helena, California, Napa Valley. It's Joseph Phelps Vineyards. This was family owned by Joseph Phelps for the very, very longest time. It's now owned by LVHM, but they are one of the nice, beautiful producers of beautiful California wines up in Napa Valley. Their tasting room and their facility is absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful drive up to the vineyards, beautiful outdoor tasting areas, private tasting, guided tastings, exceptionally well done, well worth it. I highly recommend, if you're up there, that you check out Joseph Phelps. So since we're talking about Joseph Phelps, I'm going to talk about two wines this week, and the first one is going to be the 2018 Joseph Phelps Insignia. This is their top-end premium wine, the best that they make, $350 a bottle. You can probably find it sub $300. I found it for $289 online. It's a monster wine. Tina and I rated it 98 points. Most of the top critics are in that 96 to 100 point range. It is just a beautiful, beautiful bottle of wine. Is it worth that price? I don't know, but it's a great wine. So if you spend it, at least you're not going to be disappointed and say, wow, that really wasn't worth it. On the other hand, you can pick up just a regular old bottle of Joseph Phelps here. And this is just their standard Cabernet. It goes for around $70 a bottle online. Most critics rate this in the 93 to 96 point range. It's beautiful as well. Different drink, it's whenever that special, the extra 27 months in oak and aging in bottles and their very best vineyards, which is what you get with an Insignia. But man, this is still a killer bottle of wine. And you could get 5 of these for one of the Insignias. So that might be a way to go, but fantastic wine. And I just want to throw that in because we talked about going to their winery as well. But the other wine I want to talk about is the Viña Don Melchor Cabernet Sauvignon. We were bopping around a wine store in Las Vegas over at Henderson. It's been recommended to us, Corey's. And we went in there and we're bopping around, and we kind of went back in there like little reserve area. And I'm looking around, and sure enough, sitting right there on the counter was the Don Melchor Cabernet Sauvignon 2021. Now, it's hard to find this for under $175. That's the retail, and Wine Spectator named it their wine of the year. So they tend to go crazy at that point. They'll all be gone soon. But they had about 4 cases of this laying there. So we picked up 6 to see what they were like. And man, oh man, oh man, is this a beautiful, beautiful wine. It is 93% Cabernet Sauvignon, 4% Cab Franc, 3% Merlot. The critics are all over the map on this, all on the high end. Suckling gave it 99 points. Tim Atkin gave it 98 points. Wine Spectator gave it 96, which is kind of where we fell into it and made it their wine of the year. And the list goes on and on and on as to the rave reviews of this. They were selling this for $119 a bottle. They ended up giving us 10% discount because we ended up buying a case of wines. We ended up picking up for like $109. Worth every penny. So this is one of those wines where, yeah, it's a $100 bottle of wine, $150 bottle of wine, but my God, is it beautiful. So just absolutely fantastic. We actually may have run back and bought some more after we had a bottle and were blown away by it. But you hear about these wines. A few years ago, Wine Spectator was the Double Diamond, I think Schrader Vineyards. And I got 3 bottles of that. We had one. There are still 2 in the cellar. That the first one, it just wasn't all that great. I would go like 85 points. That's what kind of we thought it was. So we're going to let that sit for a little while and see, or maybe the bottle we had was bad. I have no idea, but it definitely was not all that great. So you never know. Take it with a grain of salt. Sometimes these reviews and also the prices. We talk about this. Normally I'm looking at value wines. Buy it now. You can get this bottle for $25, $30. Amazing bottle at $35. Kind of went on the high end here, but there you go. I thought you'd get my opinion of Wine Spectator's Wine of the Year. In this case, I'm sure there might have been better wines, but this is what they chose, and I think it's an admirable wine. They did a really, really nice job. And it's from Chile. So there you go. I don't know what we're taxing Chile right now. 10%? I don't know. But anyway, at least it's not coming from Europe at higher tax rates. And with that, let's head on over to our restaurant of the week. So let's talk about Le Cirque in Las Vegas. It is over at the Bellagio. I had never been here before. If Las Vegas got Michelin stars, this would have a Michelin star. It is just killer restaurant. Service is absolutely amazing. I mean, the service, you cannot beat it, from the hostess that greets you to the SOMM, to our waiter, to everybody in between. And the food is amazing, and it was just an absolute outstanding meal. The 8-course prefix tasting menu is $385 per person. The classic wine pairing is $225 per person. The premium wine pairing comes in at $395 per person. We did the 2 8-course tasting menus, 1 classic wine pairing, 1 premium wine pairing, and it came in at $1,533.51. That included tax, not tip, for 2 people. 3-hour and plus dining experience. It's one of those things where I felt great at the end of it. I walked out of the French Laundry. No. Single thread. No. Joel Robuchon? No. Le Cirque? Yeah. I'm like, you know what? That was absolutely amazing. Food was amazing. The wine pairings were amazing. Go with the premium. If you had to go with the 2, I mean, honestly, for the $170, it was crazy. Or their corkage fee is like $50 a bottle with a 2-bottle max. Bring a nice bottle of white, a nice bottle of red, get the 2 pairings. You're going to be out of there for, about $800, $900 at that point in time. Save yourself $600 on the pairings. But it was, I can't recommend it more. You should read the review, kind of go into deep detail on there. I've done this on the last couple pairings we've gotten, where I've gotten the list of every single wine we had with it. So I'm going to write an article soon where I break down, okay, here was the cost. Here's the retail cost of those bottles. And so what are you kind of getting from a retail level? Because you're getting, in this case, we're probably getting 4 or 5 ounce pours. So if you said a 4 ounce pour would be 1/6 of a bottle, a 5 ounce pour, say a 1/5 of a bottle kind of thing. And you kind of want to look down at the various pricings and how that whole thing breaks down as you're kind of running through it all. But really an interesting way to look at it. But I will say the wine pairings were excellent. The classic was fine. The premium was premium, and it was well worth it. The pairings were perfect. The food was fantastic. Really fortunate, the SOMM was on top of it. The chef came out and talked to us a few times, which you just don't see a lot at these kind of restaurants. So fantastic evening. And I would say if you're in Las Vegas and you're at the Bellagio, or if you're in Las Vegas, period, and you're looking for that kind of a dining experience, head over to Le Cirque. It's well worth it. And with that, it's going to wrap up the premium edition, the super expensive edition of Cork, or This Week Uncorked. Thank you so much for watching the show. As always, we would love it if you would subscribe to us on our YouTube channel and follow us on all your favorite social media applications. And until next week, cheers, everybody.